All right, what is up? This is our second episode of this semester without Luke and Dan. And today I wanted to do a little talking about the New York Giants. We'll bring in a regular guest, but we have two new guests today. Tom, how are you feeling today?
Feeling good. I'm excited to talk about the New York Football Giants. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um there's a lot to do this season, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. Next
hmm
two, both from my hometown. We got Max and Will here, both longtime Giants fans. Boys, let's get started into it. How did you think that season went last year?
Um, it was disappointing. Yeah. Especially as a fan, you come off a playoff win against the Vikings and an electric style with Daniel Jones down the best game of his career. Um, Coach of the Year, Brian Dable. You get Darren Waller in the offseason, add Hyatt, Speedster on the outside, add a corner in Banks, and everything. You go into Dallas in week one and don't even play a football game. So, and the season just obviously Daniel Jones got hurt, but just fell off from there.
And I
Yeah.
guess more to add on with that is, yeah, it was a miserable season. But one of the things that I will put aside, which I'm not trying to see the bright side of it, but with such a terrible season, I think it was exciting, though, to watch Tommy DeVito and just see, I guess, who was our last hopes on those teams, such as like Wandell Robinson had shined. Tommy DeVito, not that he's going to be anything special, don't want to break any hearts, but it was fun to watch that team still try to win football games.
Yeah, they definitely rallied around him, especially the Packers game when we came back. I don't know how much time was left, but we came back, scored that touchdown in the corner end zone with Isaiah Hodgins, and that was an electric game. And it was fun to watch them, but it's obviously not the answer.
I think honestly, it might have been a good thing that the season started out as badly as it did, just because like there were no broken hopes at the end of the season. We kind of knew what we were in for after the first 3 weeks of this. So, like you said, obviously after a playoff victory, first one in many years, I had definitely loftier expectations, but I'm kind of thankful that it wasn't at least like a tearjerker of a season.
Yeah, I mean the team as a whole definitely underperformed than what we did last year. I think a big contributor was Andrew Thomas getting hurt for that long stretch. Um, the defense, like, I, a lot of people liked Wink. I don't know. We had such an awful pass rush win rate last year.
Well, he's all about the blitz, and I think that's what makes me so upset about that defense is he's all about the blitz, but we can hardly get a sack. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like other than Kayvon, like who can you like? We had Jihad Ward as our second guy
Yeah,
in sacks. Like that's abysmal. Like
Yeah, and it seems like NFL teams aren't really like he just got a job in Michigan. So it seems like NFL teams are starting to, I guess, just figure out Wink, and they're not very fond of him anymore.
yeah. I mean, Kayvon was great last year, but if you saw all his sacks, like I think 10 of them were just cleanup sacks that like Dex and
yeah,
Leonard Williams were doing in the first half of the year, and his win rate was like abysmal too. So we need a defensive coordinator that can coach the guys, the pass rushers especially, to actually beat the tackles. Um, One thing I did see that was a really good stat is Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden, both 100 tackles, both 10 TFLs. This is the first time in a really long time as a Giants fan I am not worried about our linebacking core.
Yep.
I think they're both
Yeah.
very solid.
Correct me
But
if I'm wrong, but Bobby was also one of the two players to play every defensive snap this season as well. So
yeah, him and McKinney,
McKinney.
Yeah.
who we need to bring back.
Definitely, yeah.
Like we
I mean,
let
I
Julian
don't mind
go.
I don't mind our safety position either. If we bring back McKinney, and then Belton and Pinnock, it's pretty solid. I
Yeah.
don't hate the safety position.
Well, here's the thing about the linebackers. Like, I think it's our depth that really matters because with injuries throughout, like, knock on wood, Bobby played all those games. but like with depth, we got to keep that in mind. Like if he goes down, like who's the next person to step up on that team?
Yep.
100%. And well, I guess we could talk about this a little later too, but Evan Neal needs to go. Needs to
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
After he said that stuff about the Giants fans, like his career's done. Like I would say maybe move him to guard, but he's like too big to be a guard.
Yeah, you
Like
might
you
give
don't
him one
see
shot at right guard, and after
like
that,
you
it's
don't
probably
see
over.
any 6'7" guards.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to.
No, all good.
But
I
I
was gonna
want to
say-
jump the gun. But with the draft, I've been seeing a lot of tackles like that are looking into the Giants position and looking into the Giants team. And it's one of those things that we've solidified Andrew Thomas as a great starter. And even with injury, we hope that he comes back healthy. But is it even mine for him to come into a guard position, or does he have to fight for that position with a new? Doesn't even need to be a first or second round pick. Like it could be a third or even a 3-day guy can come in and try to fight for that position.
I think that would be good for the sake of the team. I think we definitely need. I mean, obviously, just depth in general. There was no reason why Shane Lemieux should have been starting games this past season. You know what I mean? But any depth on the O line would definitely be appreciated. I think the competition would maybe help Evan Neal. Maybe I'm being a little too optimistic, but I feel like if you bring in a guy this season, even if he is a third round pick, like you said, and he could challenge for the role of starter in training camp, I think that might invoke the best out of Evan Neal. The competition might help him out. I also want to say, I understand that playing in New York is not the easiest sports market. I get that there's a lot of lights on you. The fans can be a bit early, but the comments he made were totally unnecessary. And I think angling yourself against the fans of your team is just a bad decision, no matter where you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the whole position group, there's 2 positions that are locked in on the offensive line for next year. It's Andrew Thomas and John Michael Schmitz. There's 3 question marks on the offensive line, and there could be anyone playing in any of those 3 positions next year. So it definitely needs to be figured out, because it's just you can't win with an offensive line like that.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I think because we just got the Raiders O-line coach. I think they had that tackle, Illuminor or something. I think he might come in because he's the only free agent on that O-line. He's not great, but he's a good player to just have on your team, especially depth-wise. Now I want to get into our second topic, Daniel Jones. Do we have faith in DJ?
It's hard to give up on him. It really is, especially after giving him the contract, because you just look at the guy and he just gives it his all every game. He's easy to root for because he tries his heart out every game. But he's had no support through all of his years here. How many head coaches, offensive coordinators he's gone through? He needs confidence, and Dable needs to give him some confidence. Kafka needs to give him some confidence. They need to build a team around him, because on certain play calls, he'll just look lost out there, and then all of his confidence is gone. He'll get a couple plays where you're like, he's dialed in, he's gonna be that guy, and then it seems like he just loses it. And once he loses his confidence, he'll start throwing bad balls, picks, everything, and it just goes downhill from there.
Yeah, he's like the guy that one turnover just ends
Exactly.
the game for them.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess just to add on to that, I guess the whole question is my hope is fading. And I know the contract looks very bad, but to be able to get out on 2 years out of that contract could be the savior of this team. And I want him to play next year. I want to give him the chance. Don't get me wrong. I've tried to back him every time, possibly being our QB with the crappy situation around him. But do you believe that we should bring in quarterback pressure? Like I know Tyrod's, I think he's honestly one of the best backup quarterbacks out there, but is it even worth attempting to draft a QB at that point? I don't think so, honestly.
I get where you guys are coming from. Daniel Jones has not been dealt a fair hand, admittedly. But I think if you look around the NFL in general, there's many quarterbacks who haven't been dealt a fair hand, and at some point you just gotta cut your losses and move on. I think given the contract, he'll be starting next season. At least day one, he'll be starting. Um, but I don't know. Like, I wouldn't mind moving off of Daniel Jones. Maybe not in this draft. I don't think, based on where the Giants are drafting, based on some of the chatter of teams trading up and stuff like that, I don't necessarily think it might be wise to go for anything this year. I also, hot take, don't really want Drake May. Um, I I don't know, UNC, all those quarterbacks playing down there, UNC, Duke, like all they're like they're all the same. I feel like the same end result happens every time.
Have you
So,
seen the McAfee show today? I don't know if you have, but one of
no,
the members on the cast was actually with him training for 5 to 6 hours, apparently.
yeah,
He literally made the take this morning that he should be the number one overall pick, which is,
interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah,
One of the guys on the cast just said, like, I got to be with his trainer, his agent, like his parents. I got to see him play. I guess he got to know him as a player. And to be fair, I'm also on your side with that. I would not, because we have also seen Daniel Jones out of Duke, a similar candidate in the sense of it's not a football school. And it's weird that I've seen the McAfee reporter coming out saying he believes he should be the number one. It's definitely an interesting take.
yeah,
Yeah, the level of talent in UNC Duke compared to Ohio State and Alabama is a whole different division. They're not even in the same league. So it's definitely hard to evaluate those quarterbacks for sure.
Yeah, but I feel like with Daniel Jones, we're stuck in the Kirk Cousins situation where it's like Kirk is good, but can we really find someone better right now? Which Daniel Jones isn't that good, but do we really want to take a risk in getting a quarterback that could also flop when he's been, I guess, fine for now?
not
And
that, I was gonna say, not that this would happen, but the only quarterback I could think of right now who's a pending free agent who would be worth bringing in my opinion, is Baker.
yeah,
I don't think it will happen. I think Baker's staying put. Tampa would be kind of silly to let him walk, but if you could get Baker up here, I would say in that instance, like, yeah, you're improving at quarterback by bringing him.
dude, imagine Baker in the New York market.
That
He
would
would
be awesome.
thrive. He would thrive.
I'd be for it. I'd be for
Yeah,
it.
he would kill it here. Also Drake May. I don't know. Like I think he's gonna be good. I still think Caleb's number one. I see all this hate now on Twitter, like, oh, Caleb's not gonna be number one. He's not that good. And like, I don't know. Have you seen him play?
You
He
think the
is a
Bears are
little
going to
bit.
get him?
No, I think someone's gonna trade up for him.
I think with
I could see
Caleb,
Atlanta, but I
like you
also think
can.
Atlanta could get Russ
That's
in a
possible.
trade or something. I don't know. We'll see. This offseason, I think, is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I think with Caleb though, like he's been expected to be the number one pick for so long that people are now just actively trying to find reasons as to why he shouldn't be. I think we're
Yep.
kind of reading in a little too deep. I think the talent's there.
Yeah.
A lot of the personality issues that people have with them are kind of non-issues. I feel like, and I feel like it's just kind of the sake of being unique at this point.
Yeah, I mean it
Yeah,
happens every year with the number
Yeah.
one pick. It's just they find ways to like act like he's not the number one pick, and then every year he's the number one pick. So, um, yeah, he's gonna go one.
Yeah. I mean, asking for a percentage of the team though is a little insane.
No, that is.
Like,
He's not going to get it.
oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely
That's
not.
pretty outrageous, honestly.
I mean, like, it's a ballsy move to do. It's definitely not going to get it, but teach their own, I guess. All right. We have I think the biggest issue this offseason, Saquon. What do we do with them?
I guess just to start out, I know everyone's saying we shouldn't pay him all this crazy money, but I think he was one of the only bright spots on that offense that stuck us like glue. Like I know like Sterling Shepard doesn't play, but someone like a relationship like him and Saquon, it brings the locker room together. And I want to say with an open heart that Dable hasn't lost that locker room. And I know this goes back to Saquon Barkley, but I believe he's a stand-up guy. He doesn't complain much. I know he didn't get paid, and that was a huge problem. I feel like you got to just say the price is right at that point. But at the same time, I could see the argument how you can make him walk, like if you allow him to walk, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. If the contract is reasonable and he's not asking for absurd amounts of money, I think you pay him. But if he starts getting crazy, asking for too much money, you draft a running back late in the draft. And
What do you think would be reasonable for him?
14,
I saw
not even.
I saw a contract. I think it was PFF. They had him at 2 years, 22 million, 15 guaranteed.
I think that would be a
Okay.
blessing, to be honest.
So
Yeah.
that's just like his contract this year, just added another year.
Yeah, it's a tag pretty
2-year
much.
contract.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna walk. I don't think he's gonna stay. I said it last episode. It's not what I want. It's not the end result I want. I've enjoyed having Saquon. He's a big personality. The guys in the locker room love him. He's the heart of the team. Like you would want him to stay, obviously, and I think he could levy that for a little bit more money. But I feel like at this point, like he's getting older. His window to get a big contract is now. The Giants aren't willing to offer it, which I think is the right decision to not overpay him. If the Giants aren't going to offer that, I'm sure there's plenty of other teams that will. My pick is the Texans. I think he could go down there and he could make a real postseason push with that team.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, as a fan, I can't deal with like another Odell situation where we have a star generational player and they just leave. Like I just can't deal with that. I think we will re-sign him. I don't see like why we wouldn't. I mean, he is a big reason we made the playoffs a couple 2 seasons ago. He just opens up that offense so much because I mean, we're never gonna win with Jones throwing the ball consistently, I don't think. I think we always need a good run game, and Saquon was the offense when we made the playoffs. And people forget Saquon also had a fantastic game against the Vikings. Like made huge plays, got us in the red zone so many times. I don't know. It would really suck to see Saquon go.
It would.
I hope we keep him.
And I guess this is just a side question that I have. Do you think the Kayvon podcast affected anything with the team? And just a little backstory, Kayvon basically saying on the podcast that Daniel Jones didn't deserve the money and Saquon deserved all that money.
To be honest, I think Daniel Jones knows he didn't deserve the money.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
My uncle, I think it was like his dentist or something, is like related to Daniel Jones, and he was like, yeah, like I was shocked he went number 6.
Yeah, good on us.
Like his own family.
They've got him in for you.
That's the thing too.
I don't know if it affected it too much. Because
Yeah, I don't think so. It's just a comment that like is true, like to a certain extent, but you don't have to make it. And
It's just unnecessary, yeah.
Yeah, and back to the Dave Gettleman. Daniel Jones is under the Dave Gettleman belt, and Joe Shane, if he truly believes this is our guy, he's going to take a quarterback in this draft if he feels that it's going to make a team win. He doesn't care about Dave Gettleman's draft picks.
I was always under the belief that we should just get rid of anything Gettleman did. Just rewrite it all. Dave Gettleman was I could go on for like hours about how awful Dave Gettleman was. But like we just need to stay far away from that era. And we have. I love Joe Shane. I think he's done a really good job. Same with Dable. But do you remember when we traded for Isaiah Simmons? I thought he was going to be like a complete stud for us. Didn't do anything.
We're supposed to draft him.
Yeah.
I know everyone wanted Isaiah Simmons. We ended up drafting Andrew Thomas, so it ended up working out. But yeah, it was between those two, and I know half the Giants fans were on Isaiah Simmons, and we traded, what was his 7th round pick for him?
Yeah. Yeah, 7th.
So I mean, 4th overall or 7th round pick a couple years later. So kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
I really liked him in college. I thought he was going to be a beast in the NFL.
I think the problem is it's not that the defensive coordinators not know how to play him, but he hops around positions that
He's
he doesn't
positionless,
even know
yeah.
what he's doing. Someone needs to tell him what to do, and he'll execute at the highest power. So that's another thing that we have to think about is with this new defensive coordinator from the Titans, is he willing to sign someone like that? And does he believe in his scheme, and will he flourish in the future?
Yeah. Wait, we got the Titans guy.
Yeah, Titans
I-
defensive
I
coordinator.
don't know why I thought we didn't hire him yet.
Yeah, it's
But that-
official.
Confirmed.
That could be a good move. I think he'll definitely help out Dax
Yeah, for sure.
because he loves his interior defensive lineman.
And that's the thing. People forget. I know the Titans, sorry season, but they went in there with Jacksonville with no hope. And they did it. The Trevor Lawrence lovers, they got silenced. It was a sad story over there.
My only issue with that is the Titans have historically not had good corners. So I'm hoping, well, not historically, but under his
Yeah,
regime, not great corners. So I hope something gets fixed there. I love Deontay Banks though. Trust me, I love him. Do you remember everyone was pissed at him because he said that stuff about the Commanders?
Yeah.
I don't know how you get mad at that.
Yeah, I mean, he's from he wanted to go there, right? Then they passed up on him.
He's from Maryland.
Yeah, so he wanted to go there, and they ended up taking, who was it, Forbes?
Yeah. Who was trash this year.
Yeah, and Banks is the better corner, and I mean, he can back it up, so he can talk all he wants.
Yeah, I think that was a really good pick for us. All right, I want each of you to give me one or two of your dream free agents this offseason that will sign.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the defensive coordinator, I think he's going to want to bring in a couple of the guys on the Titans with him. Danico Autry had a great year last year, 11.5 sacks. You put him next to Dexter Lawrence. I mean, also, if you want to bring back Leonard Williams, I'm sure he would want to come back here. And I'm sure he would take a friendlier contract with us. But Danico Autry played very well last year, and he would fit this team very well. And then my second guy also played under new defensive coordinator, Sean Murphy-Bunting, because we're going to need to add a veteran corner next to Banks.
I actually really like those picks. Danico Autry, the only question is he's a little old. I think
it's probably his last contract.
But I loved Sean Murphy-Bunting. I thought he was great on the Bucs.
Yep.
I really thought they made a great pick there, and they signed him. And it'll definitely help out Deontay Banks. So I really like those picks.
So the one that I was saying, which I was referencing before, I know he was on the team last year, but I'm kind of hoping that Isaiah Simmons gets that extra chance. I know he's not that sticky player that sticks to one position, but I truly believe if he could get creative, I guess I'm just because I wanted to draft Isaiah Simmons. I can't lie. That was my guy. I followed his tape. I followed everything. I want him back on this team. And I'm just hoping that he sees some light in his skill set. So that's my first. And just to go back to Bunting, I looked into a little of him. I think we need more depth at that corner. There's no doubt I'm probably going to have to just make a rerun pick and go with Bunting because we don't realize how important, because is Adoree Jackson? I'm not too familiar with his contract situation. He's on the team this year, right?
I think he's
gone.
So, he is gone? So then that's another, who is that?
Check.
So is Banks going right to that first corner? Or who?
Does Adoree have 1 year left, or is he gone?
No, this is last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So either way, it's depth. And who's our nickel corner or our slot? Yeah, corner.
I think it's Darnay Holmes.
Yeah, that can't
Flott.
happen. Yeah, Flott. Okay, Flott. Yeah, I forgot about Flott. Flott is he was a lot better than Darnay in my opinion.
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, so I'm going with Mike Evans as my top dream free agent. We lost Sterling Shepard, who is admittedly not a comparable talent to Evans. Mike Evans is a lot better of a player, but Sterling Shepard brought that veteran presence to the wide receiver core that I think was really important, especially for young guys like Hyatt and even Wandale Robinson. I still have some hope for that he could be, a solid second or third option at any given time. I think Mike Evans brings in a great leadership quality. He's also the definition of consistency, which is something we really need. If you look at some of the other past veteran wide receivers we brought in, like Marshall or Tate, it was kind of clear that they were on the end of their career. Whereas I feel like Mike Evans still has at least another probably like 3 or 4 seasons in the league wherever he chooses to go. And if you also compare him to some of the other free agent wide receivers, I don't want to bring in T. Higgins. I don't know if that's a hot take. I'm scared off by what happened with Kenny Galladay. Uh, I think T. Higgins is comfortable being a number 2 wide receiver, even if he has a lot of upside, even if he could theoretically be the number 1 wide receiver on a team. I just think based on the role he's played, I don't know if I would want to chance it by giving him all this money for him to be another Kenny Galladay type guy. So Mike Evans is my top free agent target.
So that's funny that you bring up T. Higgins. He's my number 1 free agent signing for us.
You mentioned this before, so I'm not surprised, but
I mean, he's the closest thing I think we can get to Plexico that we had. Just a big body receiver that if you throw it up, he's going to come down with the ball no matter what. I really like T. Higgins. Granted, do I think this is realistic? No. I think he's going to stay in Cincinnati. I think they're going to just tag him.
I also doubt Mike Evans is going to go anywhere. But
yeah, Mike Evans is probably going to be in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And then another one that might be a little unrealistic is Chase Young. I mean, just rewrite that one Washington game where we beat them for no reason, then we could have had him. I love Chase Young. I think it's really, really sucks that he tore his ACL because I think he could have been easily one of the best edge rushers in this league. I think it would be a great fit for us. And so if you want to say T. Higgins is unrealistic, Kendall Fuller, slot corner from Washington. He's a little on the older side, but he will bring in that veteran leadership and will be a great slot corner for us. I know we have Flott and I know we have Darnay Holmes, but I think Kendall Fuller is definitely a step above them.
Yeah, he's played very well for Washington. I remember he was in the same free agent class as Bradbury when we got Bradbury, and they compared them a lot. I also want to touch on 2 more real quick. If you want to pay a lineman, there's Robert Hunt from the Dolphins. He's a free agent. He's going to cost a pretty penny, but if you want to go get that interior lineman, he's a very good one. And then a cheaper one from the Jaguars, Jamal Agnew. We haven't had a burner returner in a while. And teams like the Ravens, even Jamal Agnew is very he plays a very important role for the Jaguars. So I'd love to bring in a guy like that.
I didn't even know he was a free agent. That's definitely a good pick right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He Jamal Agnew, I think, started as a corner and then became a receiver and now is a role in Jacksonville. I would love to bring him in. But I also would love to get a actual number 1, number 2 receiver this offseason.
Yeah.
We've been missing that so much. Because if we can get a T. Higgins or a Mike Evans as wide receiver 1, and then Jalen Hyatt as our wide receiver 2 is just a deep threat, and then Wandale is our gadget slot guy, I think that opens up our offense a lot.
I feel like we've been playing with 4 wide receiver 3s the last couple of years. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Nobody's a clear 1. Nobody's even a clear 2. They're all just very equal.
Yeah, and it somehow seems better to have Slayton as a wide receiver 4 because he's always been the wide receiver 3 guy. But I don't know, it sounds better having Darius Slayton as your wide receiver 4.
I was gonna say he's been kind of our 1 if you think about it.
Yeah,
just based on production.
He's always been our 1, and I love Darius Slayton, but I don't know. There's also Connor Williams from the Dolphins, who's a lineman who they switched to center, but he's just a traditional guard.
Yep.
That I think will really help us out. John Michael Schmitz, I have a lot of hope in. He got hurt last year. I think he could be one of the best centers in this league. I have a lot of faith in him. Any of you have any other free agents you want to touch up on?
I mean, that's probably my main. I mean, if you want to make a splash and go get a guy like Josh Allen, if they let him walk, I mean, he was the pick with Daniel Jones, right? Everyone wanted Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So if you want to go get the guy everyone wanted, pay him.
Yeah. Dude, I wish Herbert would have just declared that year.
That was the most frustrating thing, like, I think I've ever experienced. That we had him. We were not like had him, but we were aligned to like pick him, and he didn't want to commit.
Yeah. Whatever. He's Chargers now.
He's going to be stuck in mediocrity for his entire career. So
yeah, I don't think Harbaugh's going to fix them that much. And now I just saw Wink is the Michigan defensive coordinator.
Yep.
So now I have to root for that douchebag again. All right. We are, after Sunday, we are officially in draft season. Who do you want the Giants to take? Who is the one guy that you're begging Joe Shane makes a move to draft?
I know draft season is your season. You're a big draft guy. I say if you can move up a couple positions, get Marvin Harrison.
Yeah,
it's a huge need. He's a wide receiver talent that we have not seen in a very long time. I hate using the word safe pick because you know nothing's really guaranteed, but I feel like based on what we're looking at, it seems like a pretty no-brainer pick if you can make the move.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's saying he has Megatron potential.
Yeah, I see it.
And I guess if you go, Max.
All right. I definitely see the value of that, just going to get your guy. I really only think there's a couple options that we have in the draft. Excluding trading up for a quarterback, which doesn't seem very realistic. I think you either take a tackle to replace Evan Neal, or you grab one of the wide receivers. I don't think there's really any other options. And I think even if you do get a guy like Mike Evans or T. Higgins, I'm not against getting one of the wide receivers still.
And then I guess in that sense, so I had my board as we have 2 second-round picks. I'm thinking those are going to go to the O-line, or one of them should go to the O-line. So my two were Malik Neighbors and Romeo Odunze. We haven't had a wide receiver one. I'm not saying they're going to be that wide receiver one, but they can come in. We haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since 2018, I'm pretty sure. And to bring wide receiver one talent instantly and become a player with size, speed, and have that profile to be a quarterback's number one is truly special, especially in this draft. It's so deep. Like, I think easily one of them could fall, especially with how many quarterbacks are going to go in the first top 3 picks. So I think we save the second round picks for guys on the O-line. I don't remember the name, but I saw a guy named out of Duke who was a tackle that could either go guard or tackle, but we need a wide receiver one. Because if we're going to stick with Jones, that's the only option.
Yeah. I would love either of those two, Neighbors or Odunze. I also think that Olu Fashanu, in my opinion, is like a generational tackle talent right now. Not generational, but he'll be really, really good. Potential elite pick that we could take and fill that Evan Neal role. But I don't know. It's tough because the O-line is always such an issue for us, but so are the receivers. But
we're stuck in the cycle, yep.
But at one point, I think it could be the O-line's fault because if Jones has no time to throw, we're never going to get an 1,000-yard receiver. We're never going to get a really good wide receiver one. I don't know. I'm all for solidifying the O line and then making a move for a receiver, but all four of those options are really, really good.
Yep.
Like Marvin Harrison, Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, or one of the tackles. And second round, I agree. I think we'll definitely go to the offensive line. Even if we take one in the first round, we can't have 3 question marks anymore.
I also think corner is a big need too that we have to assess in the
Yes.
draft. With maybe one of those second round picks. We just have no depth.
Yeah, our corners are awful.
And that's what goes back to our free agent signings when we were saying bunting, and we need the depth because it's the same thing with linebacker. I love those guys, those 2 linebackers, but all it takes is one injury, and I hate to be that pest, like just that negative, but we've seen it happen before as Giants fans. It kills to just have the defense go down like that. So we definitely need to draft some depth.
This is a weird scenario. Do you think the New York Giants would be a better team if we switch from turf to regular grass at MetLife?
I mean, they should, regardless of.
I doubt it, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's like all the injuries that happen with it. Like if we could get guys healthy.
I hope it brings us a little bit of confidence in the players. Like, like it's just the little things that sometimes matter. So a lot of the players, because I think the stat just came out, what was it, 92% of players or 92, whatever, people had said that they want to switch to grass fields rather than turf. And if that's something as a team, I don't know how you could change it, but that becomes grass and it gets all the players hyped up. Like it's the little things sometimes. It gets the team wanting to play again. But I don't think that changes the overall talent.
So a little bit, I just saw recently Mike Kafka is now our assistant head coach getting promoted. What do you think?
I think they're just setting him up for a head coach job next year, really. Just resume builder.
Yeah.
Is he still the OC still? Like with that title? Oh, all right. I actually didn't even hear that.
Yeah, I think they're just setting him up to get a head coach job.
To be honest, I don't really like Mike Kafka. I think just the offense became so predictable last year, and when Dable started calling plays, our offense was good. I don't know. I just don't think Kafka's that guy. He was really good first year, but then
you are not that guy.
But now we've seen it for 2 years, and the offense is really predictable. And I don't know, it just seems like he kind of thought he could run the same exact thing every year, and it would work.
Yep.
I don't know how he didn't learn under that Andy Reid coaching tree, though.
I mean, it's definitely hard too because you watch like our games and we'll be on offense and I'll be like, "Yep, this is a run," and it'll be a run. And, "Yep, this is a pass. It'll be a pass." And then you watch teams like the Chiefs and you just have no clue what it's going to be. So yeah, it just seems like we're not in the same level as those teams.
But at least we don't have QB sneaks on 39 anymore.
Yep.
That was brutal.
Dude, I don't know what Mara was thinking. Like, so we went McAdoo, then
Sherman.
who was the guy after McAdoo?
Sherman.
He
was the Vikings OC.
Yep.
Yeah, and he had already failed as a head coach before.
Yep.
I can't lie, I totally forgot about him.
Me too.
Like, that just was such a blur. Like that name just like burst out so many memories.
Yeah. I don't know why. I always like thinking back, just think it was immediately McAdoo to Judge. I always forget.
I think that too.
I think we all try to block those times out.
Judge, what is he even doing now? Is he still in
the special teams?
Special teams for the Patriots.
Oh, I was gonna say I heard he was flipping patties.
Oh no, is he the quarterback coach for the Patriots? No,
I think he
that's all
did something with the offense.
Yeah, he's something on the Patriots.
I mean, I just remember seeing that Bleacher Report stat of like successful head coaches. Well, it's like it didn't say anything on success rate, but it was coaches that have been offensive minded, defensive minded. I remember just the one under special teams, and I just can't help but just think that that's our team right there.
I was like really questioning it because we were gonna get Matt Rule, the
I mean, that was horrible too.
Yep.
the guy that that ended up Carolina.
He got a crazy contract too, right?
Yeah,
Nebraska.
like
Oh
an
yeah,
insane
crazy
contract.
contract. Well, he wanted to. I remember when he was in Carolina, he had the rumors were that he called the Giants. If you match this, I'll go to the Giants right now. I don't know if that was how true that was, but he didn't do too well. And I think he's coaching Nebraska now in college, right?
Yeah, he's in college.
Yeah, he seems like he was always just gonna be a college head coach though,
Yeah.
like
He tried.
not lead a team. He sued Carolina, I think,
For what? I didn't actually hear that.
because I guess he was guaranteed a certain amount of money and they didn't pay it, and so he's suing them right now, which makes sense. Carolina has a pretty shitty rep so far with their new owner.
Yeah.
I actually saw something that he like worked at Goldman Sachs, and this dude wouldn't promote him, and so he like got independently wealthy, all this stuff. So he bought the guy's house for like double the price just to destroy it.
Wow.
Worth it.
Mara's like, from what my dad tells me, Mara's also not like a great dude. Like as an owner.
I think Wellington was the guy everyone loved. And now
When
we
was
got
that?
John Mayer. That was before John Mayer.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, last two topics. What are your expectations for this offseason and expectations for next year?
I expect to kind of pick up where we left off the previous season. Not this last season, but the one before then when we beat the Vikings in the playoffs. I see wild card as the likely outcome for the season. NFC East still very hard division. Even if the Cowboys and the Eagles aren't good when it comes to the bright lights, they're still going to win a lot of regular season games. So I would be happy being like the sixth or the fifth seed in the NFC. I think that's my expectation.
Yeah, I think you just try to get back to playoffs. I don't think you can go very far, especially in our division, because we will be fighting for a wild card, not a first place team. But yeah, I think you just try to get back to the playoffs.
And I guess my expectation versus reality is we're in a tough division. I hope to even sniff a wild card spot, but at the end of the day, for us, depending on the draft, this could be all different from where we draft, but it's all up to Daniel Jones. Like, as sad as it sounds, because it's not an easy injury to come back from and just be the greatest again. Not that he ever was close, but it all depends on him, how our offense runs, how the defense holds up. We have the talent. We have some guys that need to step up, but like I'm saying, we go a little under 500, like an 8 and 9 type thing. Like that would be, I don't want to say best case scenario, but it's hard to keep predicting all these great teams. And that Vikings one came out of nowhere, like that playoff win. Like I was definitely confident going into that to win that game, but it's just hard now because we're so inconsistent year in and year out.
Yeah, I think 8 and 9 is maybe
It's
our best
reasonable.
outcome.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Because
Yeah.
if you look at the roster, it's not a good roster.
No.
We just have
Yet
an awful
though.
roster. Yet. Yeah, we don't have a good roster yet. But like I'm just like so tired of having hope for this team because they never do anything. Like ever.
And the thing is, too, I don't want to interrupt, but I've been hearing a lot of things about Dable, too. Like, you don't want him, to lose the team. I hear he starts to throw problems at other people. I don't know if that's the New York media just trying to, like, slander him, but if that becomes true, that this locker room's about to become a pigsty and we're screwed.
Yeah. Well, Tom, how is he at Market Basket?
I was gonna say, I mean, he's always nice when I see him, but different interaction. For those, I guess, who are watching, the grocery store I used to work at, Dable frequented pretty often. So I chatted with him like 2 or 3 times. Called me boss once, so that was a huge ego boost. But yeah, shout out Dable.
I love Brian Dable. Like, I think he is our coach. Like, if you were looking for a guy that can resemble like the New York Giants head coach, it is Brian Dable. If he's losing the locker room, I don't know. Like, I hope that's not the case. But I think the only people that would hate him are Winks guys.
Yep.
To be honest, because they had that falling out. But I don't know. I still have faith in Dable. I think we'll be better than what is expected because of Dable.
Yeah, I mean, the locker room it's really all just winning. You guys saw it playoff year when we beat the Vikings. After the games, dancing in the locker room, everyone was happy, playing songs. Dable was dancing. It's just harder to say you have the locker room held down when you're losing. So
Yeah.
no one really understands what's going on there besides the players.
Yeah, and everyone will start to say shit because they overheard something. Like,
Yep.
no one really knows what happens in the locker room.
No.
I think we should stop speculating, to be honest.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
all for clicks at the end of the day.
Yeah. Our last topic, and maybe my favorite. Favorite Giant of all time? You could pick 2.
I was gonna say, I
Doesn't
feel like we're
matter.
all gonna have like a similar answer.
All right,
I mean,
I tried to.
Eli's the obvious answer, right?
Okay, yeah. So I was gonna say I took that one out, but you can keep going.
No, I mean, I have it down, but I also took it out because I feel like I want to not have the obvious answer.
Is it Odell?
No, mine's actually it's 2 players. One's a little older, but one's more that I got to watch. And they're both tight ends, Bavaro and Shockey.
Okay.
Just all heart. My dad's favorite player growing up, Bavaro. I loved watching Shockey. They battled every day. If there's a guy in front of them, they were going through him. They'd have 8 guys trying to tackle him. They'd still be running. And yeah, they just don't make them like that anymore, really.
My dad's gonna love that Jeremy Shockey shout out.
Yeah, and I can't lie. It seems like we all have similar fathers because it's not my favorite players, but my dad loves the tight ends and that blocking tight end that is physical that we haven't had in a while. That's what we like to dream about in the past. But I guess mine, which I tried to switch it up, is Brandon Jacobs and Corey Webster. Those are 2 guys that Brandon Jacobs is going to run through a wall to do what he's got to do. We haven't had a big physical back like that in some time. Don't get me wrong. Saquon is amazing. He is a generational talent. Does everything. But someone like Brandon Jacobs, where he just need a yard on 4th and 3rd and 1, like I don't remember the last time I've been confident on a 3rd and 1 where some guy's trying to run down the middle. And I guess with Corey Webster, back when like the NYPD were a thing, I love to lock down number 1. He talked his game. He obviously won a Super Bowl, but I loved reflecting back on that great Giants defense that got those Super Bowls.
Yeah, those were fantastic teams.
Yeah, it's man to be back in the Super Bowl. That would be something.
Who are your favorites, Tom?
Mine's Victor Cruz, and I was kind of expecting everyone to say that.
Yeah,
I love a good hometown kid story. Being from Patterson, his salsa dance so iconic, and I love the underdog too. The fact that he was was he undrafted or was he like
undrafted?
Yeah, he was undrafted.
Yeah, undrafted from UMass.
So undrafted to over 1,000-yard receiving. That's huge. I loved his time. I wish it ended better. I wish he didn't get injured. But still, he's still very prominent around Giants media, which I really appreciate that. He still kind of takes the time to support the team. And then my number 2, for kind of similar reasons, is Jabril Peppers. Even if he wasn't here for that long, dude was just fucking funny. He was a funny guy. Was he the best on the field at any given time? No, not necessarily. But I mean, he had some good plays while he was here. He was a funny dude, and I liked him since he's from Bergen County.
I love Jabril.
Gave it all his heart.
Yeah,
Yep, all heart.
Jabril Peppers
Fire
in
team up.
college. If you've ever seen his highlights, he would
Everywhere.
return kicks, get a sack, get a pick 6, all in the same game.
Take a
He was
handoff.
a stud at
Do
Michigan.
whatever. Yeah.
Wildcat
whatever.
formation.
Mhm.
So my two. Well, I'm gonna pick this because I'm surprised nobody picked him, but Odell. Like
Yeah.
Odell was like the saving grace of the Giants for a few years. Like the Giants were in the headlines because of him.
Good and bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good and
Yeah.
bad, but even through the bad, I still loved Odell. Like he was my guy, and it sucks because he wanted to stay a Giant. Like he never wanted to leave, but stupid ass Dave Gettleman said, "Oh, you're going to the Browns."
It's still crazy. We only got one season of him and Saquon together.
Yeah.
I know.
Boggles
The
my
trade
mind.
sucks, but we got Dex out of it.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say that trade looked like a lot of good value because look at these wide receiver trades that are going on now. Like,
Yeah.
would that happen ever? Like, if we had Odell still, I don't think so.
That was Jabril. We got Jabril and Dexter Lawrence out of that trade.
And then
And
Zimonette-
Zeitler.
No,
Yep. No, Zeitler was for Olivier Vernon.
yeah. Well,
Oh,
who
I guess
who's
I
the guy
just
that we
mixed those
drafted
two.
out of Old Dominion? Not that he's
O'Shane
good. I'm
Ximines?
just Jose Jimenez. That was another
Yeah.
because it was the
Mhm.
first, the third, and then Jabril Peppers.
Jabril, yeah.
Do you remember DeAndre Baker?
Try to forget him.
He was like the 30th pick, and then he like got accused of murder.
I was
Yeah.
so hyped because we had 3 picks, right? In that draft.
Yeah.
No, we
first round?
traded up with the
And we
Seahawks.
traded up for Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. I was so hyped because he came out of what? Georgia not allowing a touchdown. I know we've heard that one plenty of times and
Mhm.
see how it's come, but that was rough.
I remember falling asleep because we didn't have any more picks draft night, and I woke up in the morning to us drafting DeAndre Baker, and I was hyped.
Yeah.
And it just did not work out whatsoever.
Did he win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs? That's so stupid of a question.
No, I
but-
think he was practice squad. That was when they lost at Tampa.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
JT ringed up.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not. They beat the Eagles though, so I'm not mad about it. He
Oh,
did
no, I'm
beat
not.
the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'll take that over anything.
Yep.
And my second pick is JPP.
Yeah.
So like my first memories of the Giants was his rookie year, and then did we win the Super Bowl? I think we won the Super Bowl his second year, and I just like vividly remember him blocking a punt against Dallas or a kick against Dallas. We won that game.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was a stud. Still kicking it in the league right now, surprisingly.
He's on the
in
Ravens.
the low of his hand.
Yeah, just don't talk about July 4th with him.
If I'm not mistaken, the one thing that is I'm right beside you with the JPP. If I'm not mistaken, when he got a sack when he was on Tampa, this was back when the team was falling apart. He was the only one to pick up Eli after his sack, and that
I
just like
remember that.
showed volumes. Like that,
Yeah.
no O
The
line
O-line didn't help him.
He had to pick him up after his own sack, and I remember he got a press conference the next day, and he was like, people can hate on Eli all you want. Like, that was my Super Bowl winning QB. And, like, if no one's going to pick him up, that's disgusting. Like,
Yep. Love JPP.
Love JPP.
Class act.
He was a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This was the first State of the Union for the Giants. Hope you guys all had a good time and enjoyed listening. And thank you. We'll see you.